Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise today because I want my colleagues to hear some of the things that I'm hearing from my constituents back home. People want to know why we cannot compromise. People want to know why we cannot work together. I don't know the answers to that because I think we should. And what I see happening here is something that I haven't seen in the 23 years that I've been here. It's that people do not seem to want to move to the center and to compromise. I know some of my colleagues on the Republican side of the aisle, particularly the Tea Party-backed freshmen, have signed a pledge never to raise taxes. Well, I want to say what Senator Coburn said the other day. He said, "What am I upholding my pledge to? I uphold my pledge to abide by the Constitution, not upholding my pledge to abide by what a special interest group wants." People want us to meet in the middle. People don't understand why there seems to be intransigence. You know, we have spent too much over these past decades. And you know what else? In order to get back to where we can balance our budget and pay our bills, we can't do it all with just spending cuts. It has to be three things. It has to be spending cuts, for sure. It also happens to be and should be closing tax loopholes for the very wealthy who get away with paying no taxes at all, for large corporations who pay no taxes at all, for special subsidies to businesses that move their jobs overseas, to special subsidies for companies like Big Oil who don't need the subsidies. We also need to make sure that those who can afford to pay a little bit more pay a little bit more, because that's how we get our budget back in balance. But if my Republican friends only say, you know, all we're going to do is cut, and we're not going to meet the Democrats halfway, then I'm afraid we're moving to fall off a cliff. President Obama was absolutely right yesterday when he said that one side seems to be saying, my way or the highway. Tax cuts forever, even if our budget is not balanced. We as Democrats are saying, let's do it a compromise way. Let us cut spending, let us close tax loopholes, and let those who can afford to pay a little more, millionaires and billionaires, pay a little more. We are here because the American people sent us here. I know my constituents are concerned about Medicare and Medicaid, Social Security, and a New York graduate medical education. I didn't come here to devastate those programs. And I want my constituents to know that I'm going to fight like crazy to preserve Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and GME. We cannot balance our budget on the backs of senior citizens. I want to remind my colleagues that when President Clinton, the last Democratic president before President Obama left office, we had record surpluses. President Bush came in, and we have red ink deficits as far as the eye can see. And I want to remind my Republican colleagues that 6 of the 8 Bush years, Republicans controlled both the House and both the Senate and had the presidency for 6 years. If they wanted a balanced budget amendment, they could have had it. If they wanted to try to balance the budget, they could have done it. So I don't think lectures are important now. I think there's plenty of blame to go around on all sides. We had the Bush tax cuts, we had wars, and we had reckless spending. And it was done under President Bush with Republican majorities in the House. So we need to put our heads together and move to the sensible center in terms of what the American people want to get us off this precipice that we're about to fall into. I think there's one other thing the president should do. If he sees in a few days that there's no progress being made and we are about to approach August 2nd, and we're about to have this train wreck, the President should invoke the 14th Amendment. 14th Amendment says the public debt shall not be questioned, and in my estimation gives the President the authority to raise the debt ceiling by himself.
Gentleman's time
I
has
think the
expired.
President should do that if we cannot come to a compromise. I yield back.
Thank you.